Okay, with the NRL season just a few days away, let's do the 2020 season preview. We're going to start with the Roosters and work our way through the league. The Roosters, back-to-back grand final wins. They've just won the World Cup Challenge again. That's consecutive years of silverware. I find it hard for them this year to go three in a row. I still think they make finals football, but they have lost Cooper Cronk. They have lost Latrell Mitchell. Those are two massive losses for the team. Cooper Cronk for his veteran leadership and his calming ability on the field, his coaching ability on the field, and Latrell Mitchell for he's just a superstar. He's gone across the city to the Rabbitohs. That's a move that I don't think was expected. To be honest, maybe another team in the Sydney area, but not the Rabbitohs, surely. Very few players make that cross over the divide. He's one of the few to do it. I think, it is going to be harder for the Roosters to get three in a row. It's doable, but very, very difficult. And I think some other teams are closing the gap on them. The Rabbitohs, post-Burgess era, let's see how they do. And obviously Wayne Bennett is now solely focused on this Rabbitohs side. There's no international commitments with England and Great Britain anymore because he's lost his job there. Could that benefit the Rabbitohs, or has this team, without the Burgess brothers in there, two of the three of them anyway, has that weakened their forward pack? I would think yes. I think that's where a weakness could be. But Wayne Bennett's still in charge, and he has a very good record of getting teams into finals football. Can they make it to the grand final? We'll have to wait and see, but they did win the Charity Shield last week. That's a good, basis to build upon. But, that's pre-season. Regular season is next week. We'll have to see how they do, but it could be an exciting season for the Rabbitohs. They could be a dark horse, but again, they have lost some of those key leadership figures in the Burgess brothers there. That does weaken the pack, and of course, Wayne Bennett had a difficult time with the Great Britain tour. Could that impact how the Rabbitohs play? We'll have to wait and see. Raiders, runners-up last year to the Roosters in the grand final. Could have won it. Yes, that decision. 6 more to go. I'm a Raiders fan, so I have to move on from that. They, I think, are the most likely team, apart from Melbourne, to get to the grand final. I think they've added well. They've got a really, really solid team. And the way they played last year, I think they can carry that on. I think they've got that bug now of winning, and they want to win. They're exciting, they're young, they're dynamic, they're fast, they're powerful, and there's a lot of English players in this Raiders side, so I'm very keen to see how they do as well. George Williams has been added to that mix. You've got Josh Hodgson. Hopefully he can stay fully fit this entire season. That'd be really, really, really important. And they have some really exciting backs as well. Yes, they could make the grand final. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, it's a long season. Lots can happen, but they are one of the favourites in my eyes for the grand final. The Storm, this Cameron Smith's last year. That'll be really interesting to see if he decides to carry on post this season. And they always have a strong squad. They always have a really strong, solid team. And they will be frustrated with how they didn't make the grand final last year. They've been consistent finals performers. They're one of the most consistent teams in the league. You just have to look at their for and against record. Wins for, losses against. They win a lot. Over 60% of their games, they win. So they are a machine. How long has Cameron Smith got left, though? And can the other players really step up to that leadership level? Yes, they got superstars like Josh Adokar, but when Smith decides to hang up the boots, who's going to be the leader going forward? But look for them to most likely make the finals, grand final. Yeah, they could be. Well, they're everyone's favourites every year. The Titans, the worst team last year. I'm finding it hard to see them getting off the basement. They regularly have superstar players. They regularly have a good squad, and they can't perform as a unit. That raises questions about the team's culture and the tactics used and the coaching methods and personality clashes in that dressing room. I'm really surprised with some of the quality players they've had on their roster over the years that they rarely make the postseason. They rarely make finals footy, and I find it very difficult for them. I find it difficult for them to make it this year. I can see them being everyone's favourite whipping boys, but they could surprise some people. They could, bounce back and have a better season, but I can't see them making finals. The Broncos just made the finals last year. Seabold was under a lot of pressure for large portions of the season. They lost a lot of games. They got battered by Parramatta, obviously, in the first week of the finals. The Broncos are still in a transition period. In my mind, I don't think they've got the balance of the team right just yet. They lack a bit of leadership in the forward pack and some experience. They're relying heavily on young players, and when things go against them, their confidence drops. So the Broncos is an unknown entity this season. I think they're still rebuilding. I think they're still trying to get that identity right under Seabold and get the play right. I think out with the old, in with the new, but they haven't got enough veterans there who are playing at a high enough level and a decent enough standard at the moment to really get them across the line. They're going to be tough to play against, no doubt, but I don't think they're quite the Broncos of old just yet. I think there's still a season or two of transition before they can really be a powerhouse again. The Dragons, same again, really. I think they're going to be a mid-table team. I don't see them winning the grand final. I can see them being middle of the road, edge of finals. They could miss out. Widdop's gone back to the UK, so they've lost a key component of their leadership core there. But they have some good, exciting players. They always do, and we'll see what happens. But last season's preparations were upset by the Jack DeBellin scandal. That's still rumbling on as well, so that's still in the background. But I think, on a playing side of things, I think they're a mid-table team. But I could be proved wrong. The Bulldogs, they had a very young team last year. They like throwing the ball around. They're not afraid to throw the ball around and attack. Defence is their weakness, and that lack of experience across the team as well is, I think, what is going to hold the Bulldogs back. But they were exciting last year. They're going to improve this year. But where they finish, they have to work on that defence and are not allowing, when they go behind, to really allow the scoreboard to tick over against them. That's their weakness, I think, is defence, and that lack of experience throughout the team. They have some really exciting players. It's just getting it right and backing up that the attacking prowess they have with more solid defence. The Tigers, solid side these days. They are showing signs last year that they can take that next step and really go on to the grand final again. I think they're a couple of seasons out from doing that, but now they have financial stability off the field, and they have a fun, exciting squad. They always do, but again, defence, and they sometimes, when they lose badly, and that's something that they need to sort out, is their defence and getting the halves combination right. That's something that they haven't got right for a while. I think, yes, they are an exciting team in attack, and they can score tries by the hatful. They always seem to do really well at the first couple of games of the season, and then the breaks come on and the confidence seeps away. Hopefully this year they can keep winning and keep being in games and taking games to Golden Point rather than just get blown out. They do have a lot of blowout losses in their 4 against record in recent years. We'll see what happens. The Warriors, yes, they've made the finals before, but they don't take advantage of the state of origin period like they should, and they flatter to deceive. They have some great players, but again, I think a mid-table team. Honestly, they are a mid-table team. They don't do enough to get that next step. They're always there or thereabouts, but they don't take that next step and push on into finals footy. But again, it's hard to predict some of these teams. There's only a couple of teams that I can definitely say will make finals football this year. The league itself is so competitive now with the salary cap, but the Warriors always, again, much like the Tigers and the Titans, they have some really good players and then fail on the field, and they fail as a team. But they've produced some brilliant players out the Warriors. They really have, and I'm really trying to scratch my head as to why they aren't more successful. They're one of 2 teams not to win the grand final, the others being the Titans. And, they're an established team now. They should have had at least one grand final win at this point. They haven't done it yet. So they have to, if they do make finals football, they have to really go to the final and make a push. The Knights, again, you've got a young team, but you've got big ball carriers like Clemmer. You've got Ponga, who can play in the halves or at fullback. They've got some exciting players, but it sort of went wrong last season. They showed all the right signs, and they are much improved from where they were 3-4 years ago, when they were in the same position as the Titans were. Basement team in the league, getting beaten up by everyone. They have massively improved, but they still haven't quite got the balance right. And when it went wrong last season, it went horribly wrong, and they went from being a solid, exciting team to being all over the place and players underperforming and the results not being there. But the green shoots of growth are there. It's been a while since the Knights have been successful. It'd be nice to see them make finals football, because I think it'd be a good experience for some of these players to learn, because a lot of them haven't had that finals experience yet. I don't think they're ready to take that step to the grand final, but they could be a dark horse. Watch the Knights. The Cowboys, North Queensland Cowboys, they underperformed last season. I still believe they are missing Thurston in the halves. They haven't fully, got over the Thurston era. They still have some great players, but they need Jake Granville to be on his game, and he was below par last season. He wasn't playing his best season last season. Jake Granville from hooker is vital for them. Jason Taumalolo, they've got to keep him fit. If those players can click and they can, start giving the halfbacks confidence to control the game, again they could be dark horses and they could have a run at the finals. The Panthers, they were a very mixed bag last season. They went through a long losing streak, then they went on a winning streak. Maloney's out now, so he's gone, so that could sort out the halves issue. They have some really talented players, but their backs don't score enough tries. They've got some really talented backs. They do not score enough tries for me, and I think that holds them back. Their try scoring from the outside backs is not as good as other teams, even though when their outside backs are clicking and do score tries, they look amazing. They just don't score enough. So they've got to try and work out their attack a little bit. I think having James Maloney leave the team and go to Catalan in the Super League, I think that could actually help them. The Eels, what a season they had last year. New stadium, making finals footy, destroying the Broncos in round 1 in the finals. Some really, really big wins, especially at home. Complete bounce back from where they were the season before. I can see continue, stick to the plan. They are a dark horse for the grand final for me. Mitch Moses had a brilliant season. Blake Ferguson, he can play on the wing or in the centres, brilliant season. They unearthed some star players. Yes, Tim Manners retired now, but they have some talent on that roster. And Mitch Moses, the way he was playing last year, some games he was almost unplayable. And some of their tries are 100-metre tries from one end of the field to the other. They can offload the ball, run the ball, and their defence was much improved. And yes, they didn't win every game. They didn't have to. Okay, and their away form is not as good as it could be, but that Bankwest Stadium has become a fortress, and the way they played was really fun to watch last year. I have a little soft spot for the Eels. I am a Raiders fan. I have a little soft spot for the Eels, and the way they played last year, with the previous years, being so disruptive with the salary cap breach and then getting the wooden spoon and the Jared Hayne re-experiment not working. The way the Eels played last season, I'm going to give them thumbs up for that. I really have to give them thumbs up for that. They were a real fun team to watch. Win or lose, they were fun to watch. The Cronulla Sharks, the Sharkies, post Paul Gallen, I think they've peaked where they were in 2016. I think they're not the team they were. They are still a tough team to play against. They still got some gnarly veterans on that side, like Fafita. They've got some good young players coming through as well. There are some off-field concerns financially with the Sharks, but on the field, I think they're going to be a mid-table team. I think around 7th, 8th, they're going to be on the air, flirting with finals and flirting with missing it. I think they've still got a good core of players, but they're not the team they were a couple of years ago. But they could be a dark horse. They could get some, momentum going. But they started last season very stop-start. They were a bit stuttery. They weren't fluid in their attack. I think they're a solid but not outstanding side. And it's post Paul Gallen, so we'll see what the new leadership core does, and we'll see what young players they bring in do. And Sean Johnson, they have to keep him fit as well. He could be key because he can create something out of nothing. And finally, the Sea Eagles. Again, dark horses. They went on a very long win streak. They weren't outstanding in the way they played, but they won games. Again, dark horses. They could throw it up in the mix. You've got the Travojevic brothers. If you can keep them both fit and firing, they could run riot. They need to be unleashed. They have some really, as I say, the Travojevic is a really, really exciting. Cherry Evans, again, they need to keep him fit as well, because that's crucial to their success because of his ball distribution and his playmaking. But when you've got the Travojevic both playing really well on the field at the same time, you have and other players as well who feed off that. They are, again, another dark horse who could make the grand final. There's about 5 or 6 teams that could make the grand final. I think the Storm are probably the favourites. The Roosters, can they win 3 in a row? It's very difficult to say yes. It's doable. The Raiders, they're going to feel a bit salty after what happened last season. They could be, again, a powerhouse this year. This could be the start of a bit of Raiders dominance. And there are some teams that I have concerns about, such as the Titans, such as the Warriors, the Knights. They could slip back. They could take that next step. The Cowboys, are they still missing Jonathan Thurston? They need to obviously have Granville be on top of his game and Tamalolo fit, because that gives them front football. But I think it's a very open season this season. I think the only team that I can definitely say will get the wooden spoon is the Titans. I'll bet money on that. I'm not a betting man. But I think, for the most part, the salary cap keeps it really fun and competitive and open. And I think this season could be the most open we have seen in a very, very long time. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts below, and I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.